As you can see from my garage layout, I actually have a very nice sized garage. It's a 3-car garage with a workshop space in the back. I store my lawnmower, my golf cart, which I'm illustrating with a purple car there, and then my wife parks her van in the garage. But I use the back side for my workshop, and I will use the left garage bay there for additional room to do some woodworking as needed. But I'm having a major problem with dust collection, and so I was looking at the layout of the garage and what I could do in terms of an air filtration system, and I decided to look at WENproducts.com. And I found that they have 2 different models, a larger unit, a 3417, and a smaller unit, a 3410. And those are just rated for different CFMs or air movement within your garage. And I felt if I purchased 3, 1 large one over the workshop area and 2 of the smaller ones, I could arrange them in such a way that they're blowing air in a circular pattern that would make a huge impact on my woodworking and the dust that I create. So I went to WENproducts.com, and this is not a sponsored video, and I searched for air filtration systems. And I saw that they had the 3410 as a refurbished unit. It's much cheaper, saves about $35, but the downside is it only comes with a 90-day warranty. So I looked again and found that they had the full version for, like I said, about $35 more, comes with a 2-year warranty, and these small units are rated for 400 square feet. So I felt getting 2 of these plus the larger 3417 would more than suffice for my needs in my garage. So to install the smaller ones, these are the tools that you'll need. You'll need to start with a ladder so you can reach everything, a stud finder. You'll need a marker to mark your studs, a tape measure to lay them out. Then you'll need a drill to pre-drill the holes, a screwdriver to tighten the hooks, a level once you're done with everything, and a wrench of some sort to tighten it up. So as this is shown with the red tape, this is the refurbished unit that I am unpacking right now. Look at that bald spot in all its glory. And so what I'm looking for is if there's anything that tells me in the packing that I need to take out some styrofoam or any holders for the motor. And I didn't see anything inside of the manual, so I went ahead and took the filters out just to verify. One thing I left on your materials list, or left off the materials list, is that you will need a Phillips screwdriver of some sort to take out the screws if you are going to mount this to the ceiling. So I took my impact, put a Phillips bit in it, and I pulled the screws out so that I could put the hanging hooks that are included in the product package. So what I was originally doing is the hooks have a bolt that you will put on, or a nut, that you will put on before screwing them into the unit. And this will let you set the height for leveling later and then tighten up with a wrench. And I'll show you what that looks like just here in a moment. So this is the nut and the hook, and I just screw the nut on before I put it into the air filtration system. And these are the chains. I'm just trying to sort them out so they're not all tangled before I move on to hanging the unit. So just marking the studs, which typically these studs in a ceiling like this are 24 inches apart. The layout of the air filtration system, the 3410, the hooks are in a 12 by 14 pattern. And so the way I'm going to mount this one, I only needed 12 inches apart, but given that the studs are 24 inches apart, the hooks will just pull the chains at an angle, and you'll see when it's finished what I mean by that, just pulling it closer to the ceiling. And I had a great idea thinking I'll just keep this really close to the garage door mounts, and that will come back to bite me here shortly. And so I'm using an 1/8 inch drill bit just to pre-drill these holes, keeping it smaller so that the hook has to still bite and create thread marks inside of the wood. And I'm using that flathead screwdriver just to finish tightening them beyond what I can do with just my hands. And so this is the hook that's really close to the garage door opener that I thought would be great just to keep this all condensed. And I'm mounting it there to keep it above the garage door as it's open. I'm mounting it there to keep it above the van when it's in place, but I'm also putting it in the center of the room. The additional benefit is that the garage door opener already has a double outlet right there, so I've already got electricity in place and I don't have to wire any additional outlets. So I've got the hooks in place, putting the chains up, and then I'm going to bring the unit up. This unit only weighs 33 pounds. It's very manageable by one person, but you're going to see the moron move right here. I can't hang it up because the angle brackets for the garage door opener are in the way, and I did not think about that ahead of time. So I measured an additional 12 inches out from the hooks that are already in place and just scooted the unit back 12 inches. The most annoying part of this installation is just having to screw these eye bolts in and make sure that they get tight. Okay, so I got the unit mounted, I grabbed my level, and I started to make sure it was level front to back and making adjustments to the hooks as needed to let out more thread and let it hang higher or lower depending on where it needed to be on the level. And once it's level, just take your wrench, tighten the nuts on the hooks, and you'll be all set that you can plug it in and go ahead and turn it on. This is the second unit that I ordered. This one is not a refurbished unit. This one's brand new. Packaging looks identical. I went ahead and checked inside to make sure that there was no styrofoam blocks on this one as well. And the installation went exactly the same, using Phillips screwdriver to remove the screws, putting the nuts on the hooks, and then screwing the bolts or the hooks into the unit. So as I'm laying out the marks for the studs, I found a seam in the drywall that was slightly exposed that allowed me to measure off of it and still keep it straight. And I changed the way that the unit was facing to keep airflow blowing over towards the other unit that I just installed. And this will help keep a rotating pattern or a circle pattern to the airflow in my garage. The downside to this is This puts all of the motor weight on one stud and the filter weight on another stud. So doing it this way, it is impossible to get it perfectly level. And you'll see that when this is done, that the weight of the motor just pulls it down on one side too much, so it's just at a slight angle, nothing that's of any concern, but there's no way to level it off like I did on the other. So just tightening up those hooks using a flathead screwdriver. And the hooks and the chains and everything, as you saw from the unpacking, are included, so you don't need to purchase any additional hardware for these units, the 3410s. The 3417 you do, and I will post a second video for the installation of the 3417. But the 3410s come with the hooks, the chains, all equipment or mounting hardware that is needed. And if you'll notice, it slightly leans to the left side. That's where the motor is. So I'm trying to level it off before I realize what's going on and realize that I can't. So I tighten it back up to accept that it's just going to be weighted to that side. So then I just make sure it's level side to side, doing what I can to keep that straight. And then I take my wrench and go ahead and tighten everything up. Plug it in, make sure the wire is all bound up still, and we're good to go.
All right, so that finishes the installation of both of my 3410s by WEN. And as you can hear in the background, they are both running right now. The noise level is very quiet. I can have a normal conversation with anyone out in the shop and don't have to raise my voice to have that conversation. They are making a large difference in the amount of dust that is coming off of my table saw or the miter saw, and I'm not seeing the dust particles settling in the garage at near what it was. In addition to this, even though that's not what they're designed to do, I run a salamander heater out in my garage, a kerosene salamander heater. It is making a big difference in the smell, and when I do some spray painting in the winter, I can't open the garage door just because it gets way too cold. It is making a big difference with the odor as well as the particles of spray paint floating around. So would I buy these again? Would I install them again for the price that they are? Absolutely, hands down, would not hesitate. Again, remember, in addition to the WEN 3410s, I also have the WEN 3417 over my main shop area. And so there is an additional video that you can check out of the installation process on that. So this is not a sponsored video by WEN by any means, but I would absolutely buy these again. And while it is overkill to have 3 air filters in the garage, it is making a huge difference, and I have no regrets with these purchases and would do them again. Until I see you again in the next video, please consider subscribing down below. It helps the channel out. And check out the online shop for problem-solved woodworking, and we'll see you next time.